Well, here's another pine. I must have been trying something because you see all this string on there. Here is the other side. I'm not even sure which is the front. But anyway, I'll go ahead and get in there and get started. Well, I might have been trying to do something or another because there's strings on it. Of course, I don't remember what I was doing. So I'll go ahead and take the string off and cut a few branches so we could see what it was that I was trying to do. Can you see here and here where the string was? You notice that it's different color. The one on this side is much younger plant or a younger growth than here. And it got very vigorous. You probably don't want it. I was trying to pull this down, but I see this branch here that will take its place. And you know, on the branch, it's going to be just like the trunk. It should have a taper. So it should be thicker and then it should get thinner. And as we get here, because it's so vigorous, not so much taper. So if I cut this off and use this as the tip of the branch, that should solve the problem. I could see sort of the same thing up here. This whole thing might be new, but I won't take it off completely yet. I'm going to just shorten these up and see if we're going to keep it or not. And a lot of random growth, and this area needs thinning out. So I'll go ahead and do that. And here at the apex, you can see that this is a newer branch, and this is the older one. Now, do we cut this off or cut this off? Well, this is a really tough call in that this is much more mature, but I think, well, I wish this branch had come off here. This run between here and here awful long, this seems a little bit on the tight side, but I think I'm better off with this, cutting this off and making it go that way. Now, if I let this go, this will run and then you end up with this very long run. Okay, this is another one of the things about pines. This is a relatively young shoot, and see, these needles are fairly young. This one is a season older. Well, this is nice and lush. Well, if you cut it to wherever you want, then they'll set new buds because there's viable buds underneath here. Typically prune at the cluster, right? So this is a main and this is the side branch. And so if you were to cut here, it should still pop. Better if you went where the clusters are. Okay, now, if you don't have that and you cut it like that, the chances are slim, except now you have this little bud right here. It may take, but that's a iffy. But now, if you cut it here and nothing will happen most of the time. And that's one thing about black pines. So we don't want up here, so I'm going to cut it about here and then hopefully it'll turn. Okay, now that we're here, we got a nice branch, so I'm going to take this off. You could tell that this was a very young plant, right? Anyway, I'll go ahead and clean it up. Oops. And then up here, We gotta do something with that. Okay, I put a couple of string and I'm gonna let it grow back. Okay, got another one. This is, of course, black pine in an oversized container. Well, it wasn't that big before, but now it feels like it's really, really heavy. Probably nothing to do with my aging, but anyway, here is another black pine. This one, I think, comes close to being very classical, meaning informal upright. Let's see as I get in there and prune if I'm correct. See this big heavy candle? That's a good indication of health. And if you stuck your hand in there, it'll poke and most likely draw blood. That means it's a very healthy tree. And if you look at this whole tree and look at the candles, they are fairly even. That means that the energy of this tree is well balanced. Okay, I have enough things removed, and I think I'm looking at the front, and there's too many branches, big branches. So next step, I'm going to take them off. Okay, now that's off. I'm thinking maybe this sacrifice branch that I've had so long should come off too. Well, that changed the outlook. I see a big one in the back. I'm going to cut that off. Well, that was a drastic change. Looking back, look. And now I think, well, it has a nice clean style to this. Well, look what's on the floor. I would say 2/3 of the tree. I have a kind of an unusual one this time. Okay, I think this is one of those, oh, what am I going to do? Sometimes, you know, when you neglect materials and you end up with something like this where you got to go with something that's really out of this world to make it work. And I think that's what this one is all about. Of course, I don't remember because there's too many things to remember. And my memory is getting short. Okay, we could start to see. But it was mainly this one here that I was trying to make it work. But there's this run between here and here with no foliage. So what I'm trying to do is to take one and swing it around here. And should I cut this off and work with this? Or do I keep this long? See, without this, there's nothing in between here. So that was desperate times for me. I said, this might have to be junked. But I kind of like the idea that it sweeps so long. So let me go ahead and pursue that first. So my future decision is, do I keep this whole thing or cut it off here and work with this only? Well, see, this section had nothing. And so anyway, this one is definitely thinking outside the box. Okay, so what's going to happen? Well, this may stay stupid and ugly, or it might be like my ugly duckling. Initially, I didn't have much future, and then it turned out to be a beautiful swan. And later in this series, we'll be looking at it again. So anyway, this is what it is, and hopefully I could get it to turn around and come out something interesting, but it may not. So anyway, this is Hiro saying goodbye. I got more coming, so stay tuned. See ya. Bye.